Succeeding in Marathon can be very difficult due to the nature of the game. The fast TTK of most guns, the length of time it takes to heal, and the extra firepower and abilities a third person on the team can bring if you are down a teammate are all factors that play into the difficulty. If you feel like you do not understand why the enemy always seems to have an advantage on you, hopefully this video can alleviate some of that pain. This brings me to my first point of discussion: pressure. Pressure is how you can control the tempo of the fight and not give the enemy team any room to develop an advantage on you. If you run the moment you get shot, there's a good chance the enemy team will quickly collapse on you and kill you before you can heal. So in this scenario, we have two enemies behind the wall. Assume that they both start shooting at you. Your first instinct should be to move to cover, but you shouldn't just blindly run and give the enemy team freedom to do what they want. Instead, before you move to cover, you should at least try to get some bullets down range, maybe crack some shields and get into their flesh health before you start moving into cover. And then as you're shooting, you're moving into this cover. And what that's going to do is once you make it to the cover, you're going to have time to heal. They're also going to have time to push, but chances are most teams are going to heal before they push you again, since you are now in a stronger position here. And you can simply just jiggle around this corner, So there's plenty of cover in the game, but that's how you should be implementing pressure in your games. Pressure is going to buy you time to heal, time to flank, or if you were using any movement capabilities to get to this, it'll also give you some time to reduce your heat. Positioning is the next point of discussion. Your positioning in Marathon more often than not will be the main determining factor of who will win a fight. Simple things like high ground, cover, and proximity to threats are all things you need to keep track of when moving through the map. Simply tallying each piece of cover, each enemy USEC, and possible routes of escape will keep you prepared in the event of a surprise fight. Keeping track of these during a fight can be hard, especially when trying to keep track of your enemies, how many are up, what abilities do they have, what abilities have they used, where are they, how low are they, etc. But as long as your positioning is better than theirs, or you have an idea in your head about how to improve your positioning, you can still win the majority of fights that you take. You should be constantly moving during fights. I don't necessarily mean doing flashy movement tech as much as possible, but if that's something that you want to do, knock yourself out. I simply mean that you should be constantly making the enemy think about where you could be. If they know where you are for certain, they're gonna plop their ass down and hold an iron on you until you move. But withdrawal of that information can make them antsy and give you an opening to get the first shot on them. You should also be focusing on how you position relative to your teammates. If you are stacked on each other, there's a good chance you will simply lose the fight. This is because you give the enemy one area to shoot at and they don't have to look anywhere else. They can all just dump their whole mag onto your team. Instead, if you and your team can provide different angles of attack, you can force the enemy to make a decision on who to shoot at. So in this scenario, it's a mirrored scenario. Assume that the lines are walls and the squares are big pieces to cover. So if you and your teammates were to say one of you takes fire and this one takes fire, and your response to that is to stack up on your one teammate, maybe this is a triage, you guys want to come back for heals. What that does is it lets these guys push up and take this cover. And now since your team has vacated these boxes, this is also cover that they can use now. So they can be here, they can be here. And so now they just have every single avenue to come hurt you. Instead, what you can do is be sure to just take that space before they do. So the most important thing that you want to do is make sure you're spreading out. Make sure there are different angles. Make sure that if a good piece of cover is being vacated, that one of you fills that space. So what this is going to do is, say you guys get damage on this guy. This guy goes down. That guy's gone. Now you can move up. You have direct LOS on this guy, and you can see this guy. At the same time, your teammate is collapsing this way, and this teammate can make a play here or here. And there's a lot of arrows, but you kind of get the idea. The last point of discussion I have is abilities. Each runner has a set of abilities that allows them to uniquely interact with the environment and the fights they take. For example, Triage, who is likely the best shell in the game, allows him and his teammates to benefit from each other's medical and utility consumables, and he also has an ult that allows him to quickly and safely res his teammates. This allows him and his team to keep up the pressure and the tempo of the fight. Understanding each runner's abilities and keeping track of them during a fight will aid you immensely. For example, if you know that Thief has already used her grapple, you know she is one of the easier kills in the game, as she has no more offensive or defensive capability in her kit outside of her goggles, which do not inherently make her a better fighter. On the flip side, if you know Destroyer has not popped his ult or his shield, you should be very wary of him making a play. Abilities when used correctly can turn the tide of a fight completely in one team's favor. So you should think of it as an ebb and flow, kind of like this. So these peaks would be when runners have their abilities, and these lows would be when they don't. So this is Destroyer when he has his shield, this is when he has his rockets, and then this is when you've burned his shield, or maybe he doesn't have his rockets. You need to be keeping track of when the enemy is strong and then when the enemy is weak. Fights are over pretty fast in this game, but if you can play around things like this, it'll help you a lot. So let's look at some in-game examples here. Here, my teammate is pushing with his thief drone. I hear that they're shooting the bullets, so I take the initiative to push up and try to see if I can't get a flank on these guys. So that was my teammate outputting pressure on the enemy team. They have to respect the thief drone. They don't want to get their meds stolen, and it allows me to take up some space on the left side that the enemy team is not occupying. So I pop my V, and it's a free kill. Some free damage, and then that Destroyer gets finished off later. This is later in the same fight. We have another team pushing. I look over and I see 3. Output pressure, I don't run. I still have full health. Peek again. Output pressure, still have full health, no need to back down yet. 2 down, Destroyer's pushing, and he dies. Them challenging 1 by 1 there definitely lost them the fight. They should have all challenged me at the same time, and I would have died there easily, but my positioning was good. I had a head glitch there, so the enemy team couldn't really do much against me. Lastly, we are getting pushed by a trio. I pop my invis, I see 2, I wait for the 3rd, then I start shooting. I get the easy down on the Vandal. Still healthy, put out more pressure. I'm overheated, so I'm gonna pop a mechanic kit. My teammate is still outputting pressure. He has to back off. I heal. And that goes down again while she's self-resing. Now I'm healthy again, I can chow. And then from the beginning position that we had, that we established, we were able to clean up 2, and the Raycon later dies after a pretty drawn out fight. That is all I have for now. If wanted, I can attempt to make in-depth videos on any of the 3 topics or anything else requested. I hope you're able to learn something from this video, and if anything seemed incorrect, amiss, or if you had any different feedback, please be sure to comment and let me know what you thought. Have a good day or night, and good luck in your runs.